challenges of the week. What did you face this week that was challenging to you?
Well, happy Friday, and it is finally Friday Facing the Lion podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate those of you who have
Hi, my photos photography.
come
Your Google Assistant here. There's a lot
into our podcast. We'd like to say a formal good morning to you. It is Friday, just in case you hadn't thought about it. We realize that from Monday through Friday, many of you are facing different circumstances. No two circumstances are alike. Excuse me while I pause. But here's what we wanted to do. We want to have you guys call in to talk about what you've been faced with. And the reason we have that is for the purpose of you guys to know that we're here and there's always a place here where you can talk and you can air out what is on your mind. So as you come on today, we're asking of you, please tell us about your challenges and how you can make it better. This is your chance. Our number is 661 503 899. Again, that's 661 503 8993. That's your direct connect for us. And as you do a direct connect, here's what you have the freedom to do. You have the freedom as you direct connect with us to leave a voicemail, to leave a text, and even to direct connect with us during the live. We would like for any and all of you, if you are here today, we want to say welcome as you're here today. What we want is for you to know that you are always welcome here. We are running for 3 years now. Almost 4, but not quite. So we want to say thank you to the audience. Thank you for those of you who have listened. And thank you to my co-host. Good morning.
Good morning.
And what we'd like to do is perhaps help all of you to be able to have a safe space. That's what Vibe Talk is all about, having safe space. And when we're here live, you can come to us directly by just getting on our pages. And if you're streaming us, it's Vibe Talk Trisha's always putting the information there where you guys can click on it and get the information and join in the conversation. Why? Because when you're facing challenges, it always makes it better when you can talk about it. Maybe it's not going to change it right away, but it will help you to be able to maintain facing it, how you face it. Because we realize that some people have been dealing with their challenges for long periods of time, not knowing that they can do something about it, even if it's to talk about it. That alone can be challenging, just to talk about it. And that's what we encourage here, for you all to talk about it, for you all to be able to know that it's okay, you're not alone. And when you do talk about it, you're going to be able to help somebody. Your story is going to be able to challenge, and your story is going to be able to give someone the courage to speak up. You know, they have a lot of things that go on in life, and just because one person gets up the courage to speak up and speak out, they are followed by other courageous people. Have you guys noticed that? And it could take one person who's going to talk about it, whatever the challenge is. We've seen that before. And sometimes, you know what we say? Well, how come they didn't talk about that sooner? Because they weren't ready. And one person can take the initiative to help someone else who has been struggling with something. And that's what we do here in Vibe Talk. Are you all up for the challenge? We would like you to start learning from a Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. We have fun here. We do a lot of work. Trisha and I get into our private meetings where we're talking about what we want Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast to look like. And we're checking to see how we're doing. And yesterday, you know, because there are some things that we do share with you, we both agreed on consistency here. And so as we reach out to the audience, we'd like to say, be consistent. Reach out to us, because no one knows you're hurting if you never speak up or speak out. What can we do? Well, we are not medical scientists, medical doctors, medical professors, nor do we claim to be. Here's what we are: a safe place. As you are guided in these sessions and this virtual group, in this private one-on-ones, I am a certified life and wellness coach. Went to school, graduated the program, and I am now able to help you to help yourself. We talk about wellness. We talk about what you want to do, what your life goals are, and we do inner strength work. You see, because As a life coach, it would be wrong for me to step in a doctor's shoe when I haven't done the 8 to 12 years. So I'm going to say something. If you are practicing wellness coaching, life coaching, whatever coach you're trying to be that. And that's why we've been successful, Trish, don't you think? Because we have not stepped into anyone else's shoes. We haven't. So we want to put a disclaimer that we are not doctors. And no, nobody has claimed that we are. And you've all been really good with us. And we want to say a huge thank you. You all have certainly been gracious to us. You come here, you've respected us, you see how it works, and we're so proud to say thank you. You get what we are trying to do, and that's the point. If you never come into Vibe Talk, you guys are clicking, whether you listen for 5 or 10 minutes. All of the clicking that you guys are doing, what's happening is it's being generated, and it's helping us to see, is there anybody listening? So thank you for your listening. All over, whether you've streamed it, whether you've come in live, whether you've shared it, you guys are wonderful. So we're talking about facing challenges. And we want to ask you a question while you're calling in. Are there any challenges that you have been facing that you've yet not challenged yourself to talk about? And it is easier said than done. Excuse me. While we challenge ourselves to talk about things, it is easier said than done. But Vibe Talk has given a strategy work that you must do in order to be able to reach the point of being willing. I want everyone, if you can, whether you're listening to me at work or you're listening in your car or your private homes, to think or write the word willing. And when you write that word willing, what are you willing to do? Every day is a day to challenge ourselves. You know, when we do the same exact thing in the same exact way every day, how much fun is that? Or how much progress is that? We learn here to challenge ourselves to think positive. Now, that's not easy, thinking positive. Is that easy for you, Trish?
No, not sometimes.
No, it's not easy at all. And when we challenge ourselves to do better than we've been doing, it can be likened to someone who has not felt well for a very long time. And I know people like that. No, we're not talking about headaches. But if we are, this may apply. And if not, I want you to hear something. There have been people that I've known for a very long time, and they don't get better. And they'll always tell you how well they're not feeling. in their conversation, they are struggling with, now I want you to write another word, they continue to struggle with, they are not feeling well, instead of challenging that struggle. Now we're going back to the word willing before we write another word. Because you see, these people are not willing to challenge themselves to feel better. And much of the time, they put their challenges into struggling. And then they pass the plate because they're struggling and they don't do what? They're not willing to work it out. Or they're not willing to want to find out how to work it out. The word I want you to write next, if you will, is struggle. Just the word struggle. You can get creative with that if you'd like. And then I want you to write struggle versus challenge. Go back and ask yourself, what is my struggle? So as we ask ourselves, what are we struggling with? Guaranteed that all of you will be different. Because if you came up with the same answer, it would surprise me. But that has been known to happen. 2 or more have come up with what you're struggling with. And ask yourself, when you're struggling, what are you struggling with? We ask a lot of questions. You guys hear us ask, what are we thankful for? What did you learn? So we ask a lot of what's here. So I want you to write the word what. And this is about no one else but you. And if you find that you are struggling and you say, well, I'm struggling with Johnny or Sean or Tina or Monique, I want you to take it out of the equation and put yourself. Because it's about you. What are you struggling with? Every week we're going to tell you something about challenging yourself. But now your challenge may be that you're struggling with you. Oftentimes you may see runners and they want to win. And as they're running to win, their goal before them is to be the best runner. Oh yeah, before that, they've trained. So when you watch the Olympic Games, they're not people who just decide, hey, I want to run. You know what they say? I'm willing to run, but I know that I've got to do the work. So they will start this regimen of work for the goal of winning a race. So they win that race. Why? Because they say, I'm willing to challenge myself. And you know what? I've struggled to win the race to challenge myself. It's the only time that struggle should be able to be in your vocabulary, when you are willing to do something about you. And we can go on and on. What are some of the things that people might be struggling with? To tell somebody that they feel alone. To tell someone that they've been abused. To let someone know they're being mistreated. To allow someone to know that they may be in any kind of danger. Think about all the things that people are struggling with. Some people who are physically sick won't ever tell you. I've heard of cases like that where people have actually died and none of their family members knew that they were struggling with an illness. And they've had to deal with that on their own, the ones that they've left behind. And if that is you, I want you to think about something and you're still living and you haven't told anybody. Think about the one person that is a confidant that you could tell. Because I get it. You don't want your family and your friends to worry about you, but yet you are struggling with something that is of serious nature. And we want to honor you at the space that you're in. And as we honor and grace you, we want you to know that you are not alone. Because you hear the word struggle. I'm struggling. But I want you today to look at the challenges of a runner. You know, you see runners out there. The other day, I was really impressed with something. And it was a history fact. And I don't know the man's name, but he had lost his shoe while he ran in some sort of sporting event. Amazingly so, he was noted for the effort of being willing. He didn't give up. We've seen it. People with one leg running in a race. And we are awed, inspired at those images. Could that be you? You say, this is all I've got, I'm going to give it all I've got. And people are cheering you on because you're willing. And I use that, my friends, in a good way. So today, I want you to have the audacity to win. That's the goal here. What are you willing to challenge in order to win? Because a lot of people come to me, and I'll tell you what, it's like peeling off layers and layers of challenges. Layers and layers. And I'm going to tell you something I started out to say about the medical professions we are not. You may have the opportunity to go and see medical professionals and you say, they never gave me an answer. Well, I want to ask you, were you willing to talk about what you're struggling with. You say, doctor, I have a headache. And the doctor says, we're going to run some tests. And every week you say, doctor, I have a headache. And he's ruling out what it could be, what it's not, gives you blood tests, and still hasn't come up with an answer. Because you see, every week you've come in and you've said, I've had a headache. But have you done the research to find out what is causing the headache? Are you stressed? Are you hydrated? Are you low blood? Are you stressed? Or even more serious, have you been injured? Have you lost sleep? Are you worried? You see the cumulative things that could be wrong versus what's really wrong. And that's how you help yourself. We do every Friday. Challenges. What have you been challenged with? And so you do an assessment of yourself and you say, well, this, or this. Because see, we're living in a world where we're expecting people to tell us what is wrong with us. How does that work? Yes, we need medical profession when it comes to our health because it could be serious things and we don't want to dismiss that. But could we be more willing? There's the word, willing. Are you willing to be able to give the doctor or give your psychologist or anyone that you find to talk to info about yourself? Sometimes we're in denial. I've had people who have had serious illness and they are in denial about illness. You know, the big C word. And I'll be honest with you. The big C word, when a doctor says that, could be very devastating in you not knowing what to do about it. But there have been people just like those runners that face it head on. Do you think that's a challenge? Why, sure it is. Because I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy if I had them. But I don't have enemies. But I'm saying when they're faced with these serious things that are life-altering, life-threatening, they don't just stand there. They move into action. And I want you to think about the runners who moved into action, who have done various things with a goal of winning. And so you look at these people with the big C word or the big C in their life, and guess what? They're winning. Because they won't tell you, hey, I got this and my life is over. You know what some of them have chose to do? First of all, accept it. There's another word I want you to write. You know, when you say you've come to terms with something, you are out of denial of that something. You're not in denial. You say, this has happened to me. You accept it. Oh yeah. Besides of accepting it, you acknowledge it. But you know, no one says you have to buy a t-shirt that says it. When you're sharing that with people, a lot of people take the C word and they say, I am a survivor of this. How many of you have saw that? Anybody? Trish?
I have.
And so there are walks that they do for cancer survivors. I revealed the word in case you didn't know. And so they are living the quality life. And you say they're winning. Even in their plot to win, and they don't survive their battle with, they've been willing to live their best life. So again, we're at the word willing. What are you willing to do about it? Don't just stand there. Because sometimes we can think that we're being helped, and we're not really being helped because why? We cover over. We cover over to the extent of we don't want anyone to know. But if that is the something that you're struggling with, go ahead and say it. Because once you've said something, it is a big relief. We don't need, it's the okay to say it. We don't need permission to say, give me permission to say how I feel. Some of us are walking around as if we're puppets, and we have to look to someone to say if it's okay. No one lives inside of you but you. And I'm going to start with today that it is okay to challenge yourself to say how you really feel. Oh, say what? Oh, you fear it. You're afraid. Oh my goodness. You are afraid of what someone might think. You know, that word fear, I want you to write that too. What is it that you fear upon your struggling? Good morning and welcome. What is it that you fear? Oh, the other person and how they're going to respond and how they're going to react and how they're going to treat you. Isn't that always the case that we may feel that way, but yet we know we would feel better if we would stop struggling with that thing? Because you see, the very thing that challenges us is the very thing that might change our mental attitude into I'm winning, just like those runners. The man that had one leg as he ran down the runway to complete. Do you think he thought for 1 minute? What will all these thousands of people who are watching say? Do you think he thought that for 1 minute? Those people were roaring through the crowd. They clapped for him. And even if he didn't win, they supported him just because he was willing. So what about you? You there, standing there. Have you challenged yourself for whatever you're struggling with? Nothing is too big. Nothing is too small for us to grace you with the feeling of giving you the permission that it is okay. I want you to think about this. People have lived 50, 60 years, all their life, and they'll tell you something that they have struggled with, and you are wowed that they even survived that. But now I want you to go back to the time that I said 50, 60 years. If you've been on earth that long, that's a long time. And you know why they never told anybody? I'm going to tell you what I've experienced. They felt that no one cared. They felt that they were valueless instead of valuable. Which are you? They, they felt that they were worthless and nobody cared, even if they were to stand on a rooftop and holler it out loudly. No one would know. So now they've said something for the first time, and you say, how did you live with that for 50 years? You never told anybody. You know why? Because of all the 4 reasons I just said. And so when you come to Facing the Lion podcast, you're able to hear other people speak. We have artwork, we've got coming up projects. Get involved, stay involved, learn that it is okay structurally to speak. Because you see, your story is always someone's survival guide. Let me ask you, how many people have said they admire you? No matter what your struggle is, they admire something about you. How many of you have been told that? Anybody?
I have.
Yeah. And how did it feel when they said, hey, I really admire you? How did you receive that?
I was shocked. So I hesitantly received it in a positive way because I was shocked. Like, how can someone admire me? Like, they don't know how far it took me to get there. Like, they don't know my mistakes. So that's how I took it when they said, I admire you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because obviously you gave them something that was of evidence to say, I admire you. Good morning, Ray, and thank you for joining us as we challenge ourselves today on this finally Friday. As we talk about challenging ourselves, let's think about the words that we've written. If you missed any part of this podcast, you can hear it again on our social medias. We want you to give some thought as to what are you willing to do? Good morning, Ray says, everyone. For those of you who've come in here day after day, morning after morning, we realize with the exception of work and taking care of your families and other emergencies, sometimes you can't be here every day. But for those of you who are regular, you see, you are like the man that wanted to win the race. He had no shoes, but yet nothing stopped him. The man that had no leg didn't have a leg to put the shoe on. Nothing stopped him. You're like those people. You're on the winning team. Why? Because you're willing to challenge anything that you're struggling with. And you come here day after day through expressions and conversations, and you begin to discover something about yourself. And in the work process, you are able to put your finger on how you really feel. And then you form those words into feelings, and those feelings become emotions that you've experienced. And you say to yourself as you look in the mirror, how did I survive that? You see, that's the challenge that people admire about you, because they don't know your story. All they know is you've overcome something. And they say, wow, he did that. Well, I can do that too, right? The man with no leg. There were people that admired him. Even if they didn't know his story, he gave evidence that he had experienced struggle. So what I'm saying is, whatever you're struggling with, be it that it's evident or it's unseen, you can come through it. Everybody woke up. You can be aware of your impact on other people. There are people who you have been in their lives, either by work associate, school, and just neighborhood. They don't have to know you like your family knows you, and they're admired of the strength that you carry. Do we know any people like that? Can you name somebody that you admire their strength? Maybe a teacher, maybe a neighbor, maybe the older woman or the older gentleman that walks his dog every day despite him walking very slowly. And I'm telling you, real experiences, things that have impact your life. See, if we are impacted from other people, do we value ourselves enough to say, I'm worthy? Someone could be watching me and say, wow, Ray is really amazing. Wow, Trish is really amazing. And thus and so forth. Ray says, my neighbor. What about your neighbor? Are you admirable for? See, these experiences are going to help other people. I admire people who, despite the two people I just told you about, the man that didn't have a leg to put a shoe on to run, but yet he was in a marathon. And if you misjudged him, boy, were you humbled. Because some of us won't even move into action. That man was representation of every human on the earth that thought they couldn't do something. See, fear was not his enemy anymore. He didn't say, I can't do this. He's out there on a stilt, what looked like a stilt at the time. And he's running with one leg. So impressionable to me. Our audience member, Ray, says, the neighbor that went through a lot in her life, but yet continued to live every day with a smile. That and my dad, which is where I get my hard work play later model from. Work play, yeah, hard worker. And Ray, I'm admiring you because you are taking the time to write, to communicate. You've been here on a regular basis and you've come so far already. I see it. And so when we think about life's challenges, the words I ask you to write, do you remember what they were? I want you to look at them, and through this entire conversation, I want you to see which are the ones that you're more willing to do more of. Because maybe before this podcast, you might have been struggling with something. And something is really on your mind, and you say, I need more of this or more of that. But just like I said about the professional help, you have to tell the doctor what's really wrong. You say, I got a headache. The doctor is familiar with headaches, but he cannot diagnose you with proper symptoms if you don't tell him what you've been going through. Because maybe that headache might be life altering. Or maybe that headache is as simple as an aspirin. Or maybe that headache is going to lead into something else. Sometimes we demise ourselves out of fear. We demise ourselves out of what the other people think. It is time for you to look at yourself and challenge you. I dare you to respond and accept the challenges. To do something about struggling. Come a little closer. I said, I dare you to do something about that struggle that lives inside of you, that keeps you from being the you that you could be. There is a commercial, and when I was a kid, I always thought about it, and I was later able to use it in everyday life. And that commercial says, be all that you can be. Well, are you? I challenge you to do that. Today, I challenge you to bring that struggle out, to challenge that struggle. Is it going to be easy? How easy do you guys think it was for the man to be able to run in the running event without his other leg? Was it a struggle? Yeah. Did he challenge that struggle? Yeah. And there was not one person that said, he can't do it. You know what happened? They were amazed at him, and he made history. He's in the history book. We see people that have done that. I was stumped when the runner lost his shoe in a race. But then when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. You see how we impact people. People who you've never met can admire something that you have done. And you, in turn, can admire something that they have done. Let's not take it for granted. There's a big, big world. And if we stop and think about all the challenges that they may be facing, we're going to learn to appreciate life just a little bit more, because everybody that you come in contact with is struggling from something. We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. Don't go away as we challenge ourselves today. They're right there.
Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week, what did you face this week that was challenging to you?
We are back, and thank you for joining us on today's finally Friday facing challenges. We're going to turn our attention to the segmented part of our show, Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
So, I wrote the words that we had that you gave us, and I made a little diagram because I feel like making a diagram is a great visualizer for myself to look at it and see where I'm at. So here's the diagram. Made the diagram. And this diagram is, I started off with the what and willingness. I'm willing to, wait, first let's start with the struggle. I'm struggling to maintain my peace, and I'm really trying to keep it there, and I am willing to keep the peace by any means necessary. And that allows me to, regardless of the struggle, I challenge myself to, if I don't feel like getting up in the morning, I just wake up and get up and start my day, whether it's the little things like fixing myself some coffee in the morning, or starting my day with, I usually pray when I wake up in the morning, thanking God for helping me to wake up. And that also starts me. It's my drive for my willingness to deal with the struggle that I have. And the reason why I drew a house over here, I put the red roof because I love Charlie Brown. I love the Peanuts. So um I drew a house to tell myself, okay, my fear may be the fear of restlessness, of not having a peaceful mindset, but I'm still going to have the will, which is the heart right there. The heart is the passion, the drive to keep going regardless of the struggle. And the window is from the purple line, which is the struggle. Even though the struggle is a little visible, and this is also vulnerability, that's what the window is. But the whole house, the majority of the house is willingness. And sometimes I need to refurnish my mindset, aka my house, and paint it all green, because the more that I keep going, the more the fear is going to decrease. And the more it's going to make a lot of sense to me to say, my peace, I have the power to keep my peace. I have the power to control where my mindset is going. But am I going to just let the restlessness take over, or I'm going to keep my peace? And That's why the majority of this house is green. Even though the fear seems like it is, it seems bigger than the willingness sometimes, in which that's very, very normal. But you can do it. You can get through this. You can succeed. And the willingness is inside you. It is in your heart. And having the passion to keep going is very, very important. It's very important because, like I said, that is your drive. That is the gas to your car. That is the coffee to start your day. That is the energy drink to give you the energy to walk your 5 mile walk in the morning. That is something to help you push forward. And lastly, before I end this, I feel like this specific song talks about uh, the struggles of the day, and I'm going to read the lyrics to it because I feel like everyone needs this song. It is called Raindrops Are Falling on Your Head, Are Falling on My Head by BJ Thomas. And the lyrics read, raindrops are falling on my head. And just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head. They keep falling. So I did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done, sleeping on the job. Those raindrops keep falling on my head. They keep falling. But there's one thing. The blues that comes to meet me won't defeat me, as happiness comes along to greet me. So, to conclude, regardless of the rainy days and the stormy clouds that you have, the struggles that you have, the fear that you have, there is a will in you. There is a drive in you to keep you going. Find that drive, find that passion, find that reason, find that purpose to continue to go forward regardless of your struggles.
Love, love, love that. Thank you so much. We want this to be encouraging to all of you, give you the pep talk and the pep that you may need in your strive. Thank you so much. And for our next challenge on Friday, are you willing to let your story be someone's survival guide? Do you know someone that is challenged and yet you admire them? Do you know anybody that you have definitely have full evidence that they've struggled? Tell us their story. We want to honor them. Thank you for that. That was so beautiful. Don't forget that on Saturday, if you love music, go right to our YouTube channel. You can see Vibe Talk After Dark on Saturdays. So usually it will start, just so that everybody knows, California time is 8 o'clock. So we start at 8. Okay. So we start at 8 o'clock. And as we start at 8 o'clock, you can do song dedication, request. We keep our station smooth and chill. It's Vibe Talk After Dark. Go check it out now. And if you haven't already, join our YouTube page and click on to our Facebook and Instagram pages. I'd like to say thank you to my amazing co-host. Thank you, Ray. You've been so uplifting and refreshing. And thank you just for being here. And for all of those who have been in our audience this week, we're very thankful for. That's my thankful. What have you all learned about yourself in this podcast today? We'll start with Ray. Ray, we know you have to write. And then I'll start with Trish. What did you learn and discover about yourself during the podcast?
Um, I learned that regardless of if someone doesn't know how I got there, they still can admire the fact that I'm still standing. And I have admired people for that, not knowing their stories, but I still admire that, you know, this person came to work this morning. I don't know how they got here, but they look tired, but they still came to work today. And I admire that. And same thing for college. The work is hard, but I admire that some students they still manage to turn it in before me, and I admire that. So it's okay to admire other people, and it's okay to accept that people admire me. That's what I learned. And what I felt here today was motivated to keep my will going in facing my struggles.
Thank you for that. For me, just the determination that the two racers that I thought about, runners, is enough to carry me through for a long time. And even to think about their, and you said it so beautifully, their passion to run. They were going to do that at any cost, and they challenged themselves. Now that's real challenge. Even though they had struggles, they turned them into beautiful challenges. And they were something noteworthy to be able to be talked about. And we want to leave that kind of impact. And I felt powerful about that. And it left me feeling very impactful. Ray says, surprisingly, I'm a very positive thinker, even though it's always some form of doubt or self-confidence. I still try to do, and I'm going to write this or listen to it. Hold on, Ray. Hold on. Do my best, he says. I still try to do my best with a smile on my face. That and giving up feels like losing, and I don't like losing. I'd rather win or second place. A win is a win in my book. I love that. And he says, I try my best to go further, and that I'm proud to say I'm doing every day. And that's what we want you to be proud of your stories, even the ones that have challenged you to become the you that you are, because we have a lot of those that people aren't saying. So with that, we'd like to say thank you for joining us for the week, and thank you for your challenges that have become stories and survival guides for others. Thank you, and I challenge you to accept all of your challenges as you stick with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Wherever you are, let us know where you're listening in from. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time as we face our lions. Have a great weekend, and don't forget, come check out our radio station live right here and on Instagram pages.
I was really about the moves and then I got the vibe with it. I really took the time with it. Really love the ride with it. Yeah, really got the vibe with it. I took the time with it. I really love the ride with it. You can really see you're really you when you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it.